This edition of Sports Galore is proudly brought to you by Subway. And now, here's your hosts, Mark Allen and Adam Treloar.
G'day everybody, I'm Mark Allen and this is Sports Galore with Adam Treloar and Stephen Moore, Wallaby captain. Good on you, Steve. Thanks for popping past.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
You got a busy week coming up, 3 matches. Now, you got Fiji next door at Amy Park, then Scotland, then Italy. How often do you boys get together in town?
Well, this is our first test of the year, so it's a busy week. We all just assembled here on Sunday, 33-man squad. Obviously our first test against Fiji on the weekend. So, yeah, it's a busy week. There's a lot of learning. I think we've got 9 new players in the squad, so big process in getting all those guys up to speed and ready to play. It's a pretty short preparation for a test match, but we'll get it done.
Steve, first thing I noticed when you walked in, mate, was the size of you. Yeah. Like, ridiculous. I had to just tuck my shirt down.
Do you reckon there's anywhere you could hit Steve that would hurt him? I'm looking at there's nowhere I could hit you that would hurt you.
Not anymore with the new rules, eh?
I know, with our rules. Very interested to hear that you weren't born in Australia, Saudi Arabia, and moved over to Ireland. That's a pretty cool story, eh?
Yeah, Mum and Dad are both Irish, so they moved out to Saudi to work, and I was born there and went back to Ireland for a few years, and then I came to Australia when I was 5. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So how do they feel about you playing against Ireland as the Wallaby captain?
It's a bit weird. We played there last year, and I got all my cousins tickets to the game, and they turned up in Irish jerseys and flags and all sorts of stuff. So
same colours, isn't it though? Green,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, sitting right in the middle of the Aussie fans, so I wasn't too happy with them.
So way back in 2014, is it you and Mackenzie, old Wallaby coach?
Yep.
He makes you captain. You do your knee, and you play on for about 10 minutes. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, it was my first test as captain in Brisbane, in my hometown, so I felt my knee go in the first tackle of the game, so I was about 10 seconds in, and I knew something was wrong, but I kept trying to run on it. I think the doc might have strapped it a bit, and I just felt it was really loose, and yeah, I couldn't keep going, so ended up busting my ACL, MCL, meniscus, everything was gone, so yeah, I missed that whole season then, which was really tough, but yeah, I was very fortunate for Czech to give me an opportunity again in 2015, obviously a World Cup year, which was brilliant.
A bit like Tyson Goldsack on the weekend.
Playing with one arm.
With his one arm.
How long did he play with
one
one
of our
arm?
guys, Goldie, hurt his shoulder real bad. Don't know what he's done, but he was literally running around like this. Arm was tucked in. He was when played forward. He did help with Goldie in the game. It was quite awesome.
Hey, just on that, I mean, that's an incredible injury for us to watch. For a bloke to run around with one arm for as long as he did because the club needed him. It was a great win too. We'll talk about that in a tick. Yeah. What's the worst injury that you've seen one of your guys or someone you're playing against and just continue to play on?
I think shoulders are pretty common. The other one is probably rib cartilage, and that's something we get a lot, particularly front rowers when you're scrummaging, guys playing with busted ribs and things like that, because there's a lot of twisting and turning in that part, and it can be really uncomfortable. So usually they'll play for a bit, but that can be tough. But I think sometimes when you're out in the field, you have that adrenaline, and you don't feel the pain until you actually come off the fild, and then it starts to.
I reckon if it was me, I would have just straight off, ice back on. I'm not playing the rest of that out. Interested to know, I don't know if you know, mate, but we have a star at our footy club, Darcy Moore. Believe you got a daughter named Darcy Moore.
Yeah, I do, and she does mind her footy as well. So
really?
She's just starting to
Surely
run
her favourite player is Darcy Moore.
Well, my wife alerted me to it a little while ago. I think she saw something on TV, and it's
that's
cool.
Awesome.
How we
we've got a girls' Collingwood footy team, so
I'll have to get her a jersey or something.
Absolutely.
Oh, that'd be fair. I
Absolutely.
think we
Make
can
sure
probably organise one
on
of
the
those.
back, though.
Ed, if you're watching.
Number 7, is it?
Number 7.
Cool.
One's gone missing. Hey, Queensland Reds you play for. How do you juggle the commitments between the Queensland Reds and the Wallabies? Is it a bit like the soccer where there is some time off for World Cup duties?
Yeah, most of our time off is in December at the end of the year. So the way it works is most of your first half of the year is Super Rugby with your club team, and then we have this block of tests in June, and we actually go back to our Super Rugby team, and then we play the rest of the year is test matches for the Wallabies. So it is a little bit disjointed through the middle, but then after that it's all tests, and that's when we play all around the world in South Africa, New Zealand, Argentina, and then the Northern Hemisphere at the end of the year.
Well, one of the craziest things for me playing for Collingwood is the atmosphere. You know, I used to play for the Giants, and a start-up team wouldn't get many fans, probably 15, 20,000. Coming here, average around 60, 70, 80,000 people. What's the atmosphere like? What's the best atmosphere you reckon you've ever played in front of?
Well, I think some of the stadiums around the world are amazing. Places like Twickenham in London, Newlands in Cape Town in South Africa. Obviously in New Zealand, it's always full Eden Park.
Australia?
Suncorp Stadium's great. Yeah, actually played once at the G in 2007. Awesome. Yeah, we played the All Blacks there, and we won as well, which was great.
So, rocking that.
And I think there was 80-odd thousand there. That was before they built it a bit bigger again. But
have you experienced the singing at Cardiff? You know, when you play the Welsh. I was showing the boys. We knew you were coming in today. And I was showing the guys, there's no music in the background. They just sing. And they just belt it out. It is amazing. What's it like standing when that's going on?
Oh, it's unreal. It's something that I talk to a lot of the young players about, just experiencing that. Whether it's Cardiff or Murrayfield in Edinburgh or Twickenham, the singing is amazing. You know, it's something that's very unique to those places, and you know, it carries on after the game too. Don't worry about that.
What about the haka? That must be amazing to be able to. Well, it's quite intimidating. I can't imagine what it'd be like if they were singing to me like that. What's that like?
Yeah, well, it's great theatre, and I think people watching on TV really love it. They put cameras and microphones up there now to capture all that. You know, so when you're at home in the lounge room, you get a real feel for it. But for us, I guess it's just the start of the game, and it's, you know, we're thinking about what our job is to start the game. But you know, there is a lot of respect shown there between two teams, and that's something that's important to those players. So we respect that.
How close have they got to you? I mean, we've seen some in the past where the New Zealanders is like nose to nose type stuff. How close have they got to you?
I think the closest has been maybe 3 or 4 metres, but the French actually in the World Cup final in 2011 sort of went right up to them. I think they got a fair fine for it, but yeah, they don't care about that. The French, they just went and
a few jumper punches thrown then.
Yeah, I was waiting for a scrap to break out.
Hey, I want to talk about that because jumper punches is a big issue in the AFL at the moment. The AFL came out a couple of weeks ago and basically said, listen, you throw a punch these days, it'll be graded as intentional, and you're pretty much going to miss a week if you hit someone high, whether it's a jumper punch or just a punch. Yep. When you see jumper punches in our comp,
they would laugh.
You guys must giggle at what's going on.
Oh, look, I only found out what a jumper punch was on the weekend. I thought, does it mean you like put your hand up your jumper or something? But I saw the one is that Geelong were playing the other night. There was one. So, yeah, I saw that on. I was watching that game actually, and I saw that happen, and you know, I guess that stuff's just coming under so much scrutiny. We're the same now. Every bit of foul play like that gets pulled up, and they're reviewing it. And you know, there's a fine line between letting the game flow and making sure that the sport's clean and that the young kids want to participate. So you know, that's always going to be. That was my
question. Down here in Melbourne, community standards they've changed, and particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, and that's one of the reasons they want to get it off completely. Is it the same? Yeah, with the Wallabies and Super Rugby?
Yeah, definitely. And we fight hard for young players, you know, around the country. We're not the biggest sport in Australia by any stretch, so we need you know, mums and dads to want their kids to play rugby, and for that to happen, it's got to be seen as a clean, safe sport to play. So as much as we all love the old school biff and all that sort of stuff, I think you need to be realistic about that and think about the kids that are playing the game and what it looks like to them.
I have to ask, just before we move on, surely you're an AFL fan and you're a Collingwood fan.
Yeah, well, I am now. Now that I get the Darcy, I'll follow him now for the rest of his career. So,
I like it. Another Collingwood fan.
Look, I grew up in Brisbane, and I probably would have followed the Lions a lot during when they did really well, like everyone did up there. So that was a pretty amazing time to be up there. But I just watch now, and I really enjoy watching the games.
He's a Collingwood fan.
You're both elite in what you do in the AFL. 4th in the Brownlow medal last year, just in case you didn't know, Stephen. You're obviously the Wallaby Cow. I just want to get a judge of the strengths of you two. So, bench press, what do you max out at, Adam?
225, I reckon.
220.
My max bench is about... My max I've ever done is 115 for 1 rep.
Righto.
That's pretty good.
And?
About 160.
160?
Yeah. Mate, I'm probably twice the weight of you, I suppose.
Yeah, righto. And what about the leg press? What about squatting? This is the other one.
I don't squat a lot, but maybe 150, 160. Some of our players would be 230, 40, I suppose.
And what about bench press, some of you guys? Or are you
about 180 would be the highest, I suppose. Yeah.
It's obscene. Yeah, and just to balance the ledger here, the ledger, I was going to say, what do you run a mile in?
Well, we do.
What do you do? The 2K time trial.
Well, I'm not one of the good ones, but I do about 650.
Yeah, right. No, I'd be still going. Don't worry about that.
Hey, I want to talk about last week because what you guys did at Fremantle, Stephen, you should have seen it. It was unbelievable. As a Collingwood supporter all my life, it's one of the proudest days of my life to see the boys down 2 men on the bench. Tyson Goldsack running around with one arm like we discussed a little bit earlier. Yeah. the goal that you kicked that basically got Collingwood's momentum going the wrong way. I mean, at the other end of the ground, you and the captain, Pendles, took off and left a few blokes behind. It was beautifully shown the other day for all of us who only see what's on the screen. But Pendles gets it over to you on the 50 line, and you kick a goal from basically that, where the arc meets the boundary line. Tell us what's going through your head trying to win a game of footy at that stage, and you've got this kick.
Well, we just got to always stay in the moment. We knew that it was a very hostile environment for us, being away from home. I suppose off the back of their performance last week, they lost by 100 points last week, so we know they were going to come out firing. But I think the ground suits us. We're a very good running team. We're a powerful running team. Our mids spread real hard. And, I suppose the opportunity was there. And I can tell you, when I did kick it, I wanted to come straight off onto the bench. And then I got called to go straight back on when I was 5 metres away, and I was quite angry with that. But, no, it was just reward for effort. The guys, we've played some really, really good footy without winning games, I suppose, earlier in the year. But, we're just stoked that we can get the job done, and hopefully we can go well this week. You
travel so well, and I want to ask you, Steve, back again. You guys are travelling all the time. The secret to travelling in your mind when it's international, what's the secret behind that sort of travel and performing well? Yeah,
so we play probably half our test matches away from home, wherever it is around the world. And I think you try and create as normal conditions as when you're at home. So everything down to your bed, where you're sleeping, what you're eating, just all your habits that you'd normally be really important at home. You've got to make sure they're important when you're away.
Is there anything superstitious that you do? I suppose when you travel, but just in general, because I'm a very superstitious person.
Yeah, I used to be when I was young.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm a fair bit older than you, so I think I figured out that they don't really work that well.
Yeah, I'm starting to realise that. I'm starting to.
But look, things like just a night before a game, I always eat in the hotel and just stay pretty quiet. Some players like to go out, and they're the things you learn over your career.
Go out as in...
No, just go out for dinner. I hope that's all they're doing.
Them days are gone, long gone.
So why do you think Collingwood travel so well? I mean, you've come from GWS and you've kind of had a look at how they do it. And Collingwood's had a great record always for travelling. Why do you think it is?
Well, Steve's spot on. I agree with everything you say, but I think for us as well, we get to go away from the bubble that is Melbourne. Such a footy dominant environment. There's always pressure on Collingwood to perform, and we just travel really well. When we travel, we get together, we live in each other's pockets, we're with each other all the time. And then, we like performing, I suppose, away from home and in hostile environments, even though we have thousands of fans everywhere. But we really look forward to travel. Even though we only travel 5-6 times a year, we're pretty lucky in that regard.
Well done. It's a fantastic win, and we loved it. Now, one of our big sponsors, Subway, it is time for the inside story. A man who used to live with Izzy Folau, and we've got a captain who plays with him. Now, we believe you might have a little inside story on Izzy for us, Steve.
Well, he doesn't give much away, as you know. He's pretty quiet, but I know he has obviously fallen in love in the last 12 months, and I think he's become engaged as well.
Fellow netballer too.
That's right. That's right. So I think his fiancée may live in Auckland or in New Zealand, so he's spending a fair bit of time ducking back and forth there.
You need to get her over to the Pies, I reckon. We'll get her over here to play in the netball.
That's right. I think
that'd be a win.
Yeah, you might have to get on to that.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be a win.
Speaking of Izzy, can I just say one little funny thing about him?
Please.
So, when he obviously first got drafted to the Giants, I lived with him for the first couple of months and whatever, and I started to figure out some of his mannerisms. He was obviously a very, very nice guy, and then you get down to training and playing and being so big in a rugby environment, coming to a footy environment, be like you, the running would be the hardest thing for you.
Yeah.
And we used to do a 3K time trial, and I'd say that I suppose the worst 3K time trial there at the time would have been maybe an 11-minute flat.
Yeah.
I remember Izzy did his first 3K time trial. 15 minutes had ticked over. He still had a lap to go. He was still running the ball guy to the point where our sports science guy was running with him and beating him.
Yeah, right.
So the poor fella,
I think he had to lose a lot of weight.
He did. But in saying that, I reckon if he was still playing, I honestly say his hand on heart, if he was still playing, he would have definitely made something out of himself. Because his last game that he played, I got to play with him, played exceptionally well. But I think his heart was always in rugby.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate you dropping by Sports Galore. It's fantastic. And good luck against Fiji this upcoming game.
Thanks very much.
Now, it's a big day at the MCG. Now, it is called The Big Freeze 3 at the MCG, of course, motor neurone disease. It's a magnificent cause. We want as many Collingwood supporters, travelling Collingwood supporters, as possible. It's the Demons' home game. 3 in a row for the Pies. We want to see you at the MCG. Adam, good luck, mate. And hopefully we can make it 4 in a row. See you next week, folks.
Thanks to our friends at Subway, this has been another episode of Sports Galore. If you've got feedback on the show, or you have a topic you'd like the guys to talk about, use the club's official social channels to let us know. Go Pies.